Assalamu alaikum. We shall continue with part 10. The Prophet was the grandson of Abdul Muttalib, who was the son of Hashim, and a woman of the Bil Nijjar, and so of Yemeni stock. Your mother was of the pure stock of Kuza to the heroes of Saba. Her line goes back, says the poet in his elegy on Abdul Muttalib. Apart from uh, their great service to the Prophet in giving him a home, when Quraysh cast him out, the Ansar long before had been partners with Quraysh, for was it not Riza, the half brother of Qusay, who came to the aid of the ancestors of Quraysh from the Yemen? Had it not been for the Ansar, there would have been no Islam. Had it not been for their ancestors, the poet implies, Quraysh would not have been established in Mecca. On page 18, there is thinly disguised Ansari Shia propaganda. The one you killed was the best of us. The one who lived is Lord over us, and all of you are lords, would be recognized by many as a reference to the killing of Al Hussein, and the lords would be the Umayyads. The account of the Toba, Toba's, Tuba's march against Mecca and his great respect for its sanctity stands in clear contrast with the treatment it received from the Umayyad. When, after a careful study of the language and style of this verse, Dr. Azam comes to the conclusion that comparatively little of it dates from the time of the Prophet. Dr. Arafat comes to much the same conclusion with regard to the verse attributed to Hassan. A few of the outstanding arguments will be given here. He finds that the eulogy on the Ansar on page number 893, which is attributed to Ka'b bin Zuhair, is in the same rhyme and meter as the poem of Al-Akhtar, which was written at the instigation of Yazid. These we find There we find the words, baseness is under the turbans of the Ansar. A careful comparison of the relevant passages in the two poems shows that the one in the Sira is the answer to the one in the Aghazi. So we have to see this word carefully, Aghadni. Abdullah bin Abu Bakr is reported to have said the Ansar were respected and feared until the Battle of Hara. Afterwards, people were emboldened to attack them and they occupied a lowly place. It is in these circumstances, not those of the Prophet's companions daily increasing in power and prestige, that we must look for the background of. You will find that none ill uses or abuses us, but a base fellow who has gone astray. That is page number 626. On page 474, a poem which Ibn Hasham attributes to Hassan's son Abdul Rahman obviously dates from a later generation. My people are those who are My people are those who sheltered the Prophet and believed in him when the people of land were unbelievers, except for choice souls who were forerunner of righteous men and who were helper with the helpers. What can this mean but that someone is speaking of the past services of his people to the Prophet? Further, it is strange language to impute to Hassan. I was he who called the newcomers vagrants and Jal Adib and regarded them as an unmitigated nuisance. He did not house any of the Mahajir, nor was he a brother to one of them. A still clearer reference to a former generation is to be found on page 927. Again, Ibn Hisham attributed it to Abdul Rahman, which says, those people were the Prophet's helpers, and they are my people. To them I come when I relate my descent. Dr. Ashraf notes that in the Sirah there are 78 poems attributed to Hassan. The authenticity of 15 of them is questioned or denied outright. The text of the poem on page 738 in its rival forms illustrates the way in which verses attributed to Hassan were interpolated and edited and additional verses fabricated. Here, T, that might mean Tibri, gives only the first 5 verses. The Divan interpolates 2 verses after the first line and adds 2 at the end. On the other hand, the last 3 verses in the Sirah are not to be found in either of the other authorities. In the Aghani, the poem is still longer, and according to the Riwayah of Musab, but without Al-Zuhair's authority. The facts which emerge from a study of circumstances which surround this poem. After the attack on Al-Mustalik, a quarrel arose between the Meccans and Medinan about the use of a well. Abdullah bin Ubay said, now this is in inverted commas, their rival are numbers. Qathara, he called them Jalabib and threatened that when they get back to Medina, the stronger would drive out the weaker. The words italicized are the very words used by Hassan in his poem. From this, it is clear that Hassan is expressing not only his own opinion about the Muslim, but that of Abdullah bin Ubay and his party. It was during this journey that the scandal about Aisha arose. Safwan struck Hassan with his sword. According to the introduction to the poem in the Diwan Safwan, Safwan attacked Hassan because he had accused him of spending the night with Aisha. But in the Aghadni, or it could be pronounced as Aghani, Safwan wounded Hassan at the instigation of Prophet, because his house was the center of disaffection against the Muslim. The other explanation of the attack on Hassan is added in Al-Aghani as an afterthought. However, there is no reason why both versions should not be correct. Hassan's most dangerous offense was his complaint against the Muslim intruders, but when he slandered Aisha, he provided the Prophet with an admirable reason for punishing him severely for an offense which would not engage the sympathies of the Ansaris. Whether loyal or disaffected, they could hardly support their comrade in such a matter. With the further ramifications of the story we are not concerned. Sufficient has been said to show that the poem, so far as verse 5, is genuine and is directed solely against the Muslim refugees whose presence had become a nuisance to Hassan. In his poem, he says nothing at all about Safwan. These lines have doubtless been added to whitewash Hassan. As poetry, they will not bear comparison with the genuine verses, and Tibri was thoroughly justified in disregarding them. So we are on page 14. This is like a PDF. So It seems to be very white page, and we shall continue in the next part. So far, this is the introduction of the author. The real book uh, hasn't started yet.